Let's talk about how atomic habits can help you lose weight and keep it off for good. The first thing I loved about this book was that it starts off right off the bat talking about the power of tiny changes, about how these little things that you can do and get in the habit of can really make a profound difference in your life. And when I look back on my own weight loss journey, that's what I see too. It's not like one single thing that I did that caused me to lose weight and has helped me keep it off. It's all these little habits that I got into and stayed in for the long haul. So basically the gist of this book is that there are 4 main ingredients to good habit formation. The 4 ingredients are to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And so when I started to consider that, I thought, that's really why intermittent fasting worked so well for me when other things just didn't for weight loss. First of all, it's really obvious with intermittent fasting, whether you're practicing it or not. It basically comes down to one question. Are you eating during the fasting window? And if you are, you're not doing intermittent fasting. Whereas with other diet plans I've been on, it's really hard to know, like if you're trying to be, low carb, like what exactly does that mean? Is it okay to have a sandwich or is it not? The second thing about intermittent fasting was that it was attractive. I would be able to eat bigger portions in my eating window, which was not something that I had found on other diet plans. Other diet plans were always about, you have these little portions and eat frequently. And I never felt full. But the idea that I could eat, big portions and still lose weight was really attractive. The third thing was that intermittent fasting was easy. And I did this a couple of different ways. First of all, I tried to go as gradually as I could with the actual windows so that the fasting always felt easy. But more importantly, I allowed myself to just eat whatever I wanted in the eating window. And that made it really easy because I never felt deprived. I knew that, when I got to my eating window, I could just eat whatever. And the fourth thing was that intermittent fasting was satisfying. When I got to my eating window, I was able to eat until I felt full. And so I was literally feeling satisfied. And of course, sticking with intermittent fasting, getting into that habit made it so that I was losing weight, which made it even more satisfying. Another way these same principles applied to my weight loss journey was with weighing. I've been in this habit since February of 2015, and those 4 main ingredients are there. First of all, I made it obvious. So I put my bathroom scale right next to my toilet so that first thing in the morning, I wake up and after I go to the bathroom, it's really obvious what I need to do next. I just need to step on the scale. I also made it attractive. And this is something he talks about in the book, about how you sometimes have to just start thinking about a thing differently. In other words, you reframe it in your mind. And this is something I had to do with weighing because I hated the scale before this weight loss journey. I was, because I had always struggled with my weight, I thought of it as the enemy. But I changed my thinking and I said, you know what? No, the scale is going to be my accountability partner. It's going to be my friend. It's going to tell me the truth. Every morning I get on the scale and it's going to tell me exactly what I weigh. So that made it attractive to me. I also made sure the process was as easy as possible. So I did this in 2 ways. First of all, I got a scale that was just a digital scale with a big readout. So it was always very obvious exactly what I weighed. There was no trying to see the little dial and know, what exactly is that number? And I also tried to make it emotionally easier to try to just emotionally detach from the number. And the way I did this was to kind of pretend as though when I looked at the number, I was not me. I was just a nurse who was looking at the patient's weight and I was just recording it for her records. And I know that sounds silly, but it made the process easier. And the last thing I did was I made it satisfying. And the way I did this was to focus on the victory as being the fact that I weighed, not so much what I weighed. So that even on days where maybe, my weight was up, especially on those days where I knew, the day before I was, maybe emotionally eating or something like that, I had just kind of messed up. I focused the next day on just saying, you did the brave thing. You got on the scale and you weighed, and that's victory. And of course, over time, as I weighed and I started to lose weight, just the act of weighing became satisfying because I was able to, see the scale moving down. I also made sure to celebrate those times when I did see a lower number, just pumping my arms, yes, that is satisfying to me. Now, in this book, he also talks about, trying to break bad habits. And basically all you do in order to break a bad habit is to do the inverse of those 4 things. So you make it invisible, you make it unattractive, you make it difficult, and you make it unsatisfying. And what I found is that sometimes you only just need one of these in order to break a bad habit. One thing I did on the weight loss journey was I stopped snacking. The reason I did that was because I realized that my snacking habit was really just emotional eating. And I made a rule for myself. And the rule was, okay, you can have a snack whenever you want it, but you have to go have it in the dining room, and you have to sit down at the dining room table, and you cannot have the TV on, you cannot have your phone with you, no distractions at all. If you want the snack, you have to sit down and just have the snack. And that actually made snacking so unattractive to me that I just stopped snacking. And in general, what I found is that whenever I've had trouble losing weight or, keeping it off, it usually comes down to one of these factors are coming into play. Maybe the plan is just too difficult, or maybe it's just not very satisfying overall. Another thing he talks about is the Goldilocks rule. And so the idea is, in order to maintain motivation to stick with these habits, you want to be in that just right kind of zone where it's not too difficult, but it's also not too easy, because you want to feel a little bit challenged. I found the Goldilocks rule was helpful when I first got into my walking habit. So I had gotten to the point where I had this goal, 14,000 steps a day, and I was just walking. That's all I was doing. And I started to get really bored with that. At first it was a challenge. And then after a while, it kind of felt like this isn't really, I missed the idea of a personal best. I had been doing powerlifting, and I was really challenged by that. I was always excited when I could hit a personal best. But with my steps, it just started to feel like, well, I'm just doing the same thing every day, and that's not good. So what I decided to do was I started to do a personal best for steps. Once a month, I just wanted to break my own record. And I did that for a long time until finally I got to the point where I realized, I'm okay with boredom. One of the best quotes he has in this book is, "The greatest threat to success is not failure, it's boredom." Our brains are always seeking novelty. And so there are going to be times when you're just, on the weight loss journey, and you're going to feel bored, and your brain's going to want to change things up. A lot of times this manifests as you are trying to make things, go faster. So you increase the difficulty. But so many times what happens then is you end up making it too hard, and then you aren't consistent anymore. It's too difficult. So you can't get those habits to stick. And then you get frustrated because you're gaining weight, and then it can just derail all your progress. And the danger of boredom I have found to be especially present on the maintenance journey, because, when you're losing weight, it's kind of exciting because you're watching the scale move down and you're making progress. But once you get to maintenance, you're just trying to stick where you are. And that's kind of boring. It's kind of a grind. And as he states, you have to fall in love with boredom. And I found that it is good from time to time to challenge yourself, to try to maybe change your plan a little bit and see what your results are. And usually you're going to learn something from it, even if that thing might be, that's a bad plan. But if you can just get okay with boredom and just say, this is the plan and I don't really need to change it, and I can just do this and it'll give me the results, then you're going to have long-term success. I highly recommend this book, even if you're having good results on the weight loss journey. I think it's helpful for everybody who's trying to get into good habits. Even though I felt like I was pretty good at getting into habits, this book really reinforced a lot of the things that I kind of just learned on my own through trial and error. And I think it probably would have saved me a lot of time had I picked up this book first. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. I want to take this chance to say thank you to all the insiders out there who have joined this channel. Insiders get access to my vlog, where I talk about, what experiments I'm running, what I'm eating, and I give some glimpses of the work I do behind the scenes here on this channel. And I'm also active in the comments section with members. To get access, just click the join button below. Thanks!